Royal Standley of Oregon Pacific Financial Advisors, offering securities through United Planners Financial Services member FINRA SIPC, guides clients with empathy in discovering and reaching their financial goals, and creates financial plans for clients so they can live their life by design. In these episodes, he relates his expert financial insights and discusses timely topics. Royal strives for excellence and has a passion for sharing his knowledge and supporting his community. Now, on to the show.
Hello and welcome to Life by Design with Royal Standley of Oregon Pacific Financial Advisors. Royal, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic. I am enjoying the sunny weather we're having right now.
Yes, it has been beautiful out in both of our areas recently. I know that you brought a guest on the show today, correct?
That's right. That's right. You know, with COVID, I mean, who knows where we're at with it winding down, but I know there's a lot of people after a year that are getting a little stir crazy, being trapped in the house and maybe looking to travel here. So I thought it would be wonderful to bring on an experienced travel consultant. And today we are joined by Shana Brewer with Travel Leaders here in Medford, Oregon. And Shana brings over 30 years of experience as a full-time travel agent and has been the owner of Travel Leaders for how many years now?
I think I'm going on 6.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So, Shana, thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of our little podcast. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you into the travel industry?
Yes. Originally, I thought I wanted to work for the airlines, and I went to International Air Academy in Vancouver, Washington, and it was right after deregulation, and it changed the structure for the air industry and how they paid people. So the jobs available were $4 an hour in places like LA and New York, and knowing I couldn't survive in those places, I decided to move to Southern Oregon, and I actually had 2 jobs in one day offered. So as a travel agent.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And so you bring a ton of experience in it as a travel agent. Now I'm sure a lot of our listeners here, may not even realize that a travel agent still a job, still employs a lot of people. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. There is a need for travel agents. There's not as many as there used to be. There's not as many travel agencies locally or in the United States. But there's definitely a need. With the internet, there's a lot of choices to be made. And people just have a hard time pulling a trigger when they're spending a lot of money on a trip. And that's where a travel consultant comes into play, and we try to help fit the brand with the traveler, the destination. You know, we spend a lot of time face-to-face with people or over the phone trying to figure out what vacation would best fit them.
And in normal times, how does somebody begin working with someone like you or any of the agents there in your office?
Well, a lot of our business is by referral. I would say 90% of our business is because they told a friend about us and how helpful we were to them and referred their friends to them, because people get frustrated on the internet looking and looking and looking, and again, not knowing if they're making a right choice. So usually it's just a referral. People email, they call, they walk in, and we just build a relationship with people and help them with their trips.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And so it's probably pretty expensive then to work with a travel agent, I would assume.
Well, that is a misconceived notion for sure. Most of the times there are no additional charges when working with a travel agent. The cruise lines, the tour packages, the tour companies, they pay the travel agents to be the middleman. So a lot of times there's no extra fees.
Well, that's wonderful. You see how I teed you up there for that?
Yeah, you did.
You knocked it out of the park. You did a great job. And so really there shouldn't be any fear then of, calling somebody to really kind of walk you through making travel arrangements, especially I think probably traveling overseas or looking at some maybe multi-stop trips.
Yeah, most definitely. I do a lot of international travel in a normal, typical year, sending people abroad. And there's a lot of elements that are involved. And moving forward, certainly with pandemic situation, there's even more. So I think the assistant of a travel agent I think there's going to be a bigger need for us moving forward with the doubt, the uncertainty. So I'm hoping things will turn around.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very hopeful that it will here in the next 6 to 12 months, but we have to see. We have to get past all this. So
Yes, for
um,
sure.
the other thing is with a travel agent, is it just to buy the tickets, or is there ongoing service that happens during the trip as well?
Yes, most definitely. So, I mean, starting with just airline tickets, airlines change their schedules a lot. So, we're personally in contact with the clients, letting them be aware of the changes, um, reaccommodating their seat assignments. And that's just on an airline level. With the packages and tours and cruises, we're helping facilitate the things they need, like their online registration. There's just a multitude of services that we provide in assisting our clients. Sometimes the older people they're not really internet savvy, and some people don't even have emails or internet access. So that's a big deal for a lot of our clients, just helping them um, facilitate themselves through what needs to be done to get them on the cruise ship or on the tour.
Very nice, very nice. Now, I assume there's the majority of people call you up and say, "Hey, I'm planning on a trip here," but you probably also have people saying, "Hey, I just want to take a trip. What's affordable? What would you guys recommend?" Is that something you help people with as well?
Yes, a lot of times people come in and say, we want to go someplace, but we don't know where. And they want suggestions. And a lot of times it starts out with when, how much money they want to spend, how comfortable they are traveling abroad versus staying stateside. So, again, that's another thing where we're kind of fitting a destination with the client's needs and their budget.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. So I can just know I want to go somewhere warm or somewhere fun, somewhere good for families, and I can just give you a call, and you'll set me on the right path.
Yeah, we ask a lot of questions, so it's not just like, oh, well, my favorite place is here. It's, do you have a passport? Are you limited on the days you can be gone? Did you have set dates? Are you flexible? So sometimes I feel like I do ask a lot of questions, but it's in the best interest of the client.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's part of your consultative approach that you bring to travel
hmm
is really trying to find that perfect trip for someone. So you mentioned something earlier which I really hadn't thought of, but you mentioned that you do a lot of travel. That's got to be a nice perk there. Of being a travel consultant is seeing kind of these great deals come across your desk.
It is. It's a challenge because as a business owner, sometimes it's hard to be gone a lot. There was a time when I was raising a young family, so I wasn't gone as much as I wanted to then. But yes, we see the things come through, but we're all very driven to go to these places so I can come back and tell people. And my staff, I love to send them places so that they come back and they're so excited about where they've been and they sell it. We just do because we just loved what we saw, and it's an investment in my money for the travel agents to come back and be excited about a new destination.
What a great perk to offer to your people. So
It's
that's
really
wonderful.
fun. I love being able to help them go see places they like to go to.
So what are some of your favorite places to recommend to people?
I'm one of those people that every place I go is my new favorite. I love Italy. I really enjoyed Ireland because I'm Irish. I love cities in the United States, though. Boston is one of my favorite cities. I love New York. Wouldn't want to live there, but I love to visit. Every place I go is my new favorite place. I went to Santa Fe before the pandemic started, and that was my favorite place. Savannah. So even stateside, there's so many amazing places besides international.
Very nice, very nice. And what do you think the breakdown is for the people you work with? Going domestic versus international.
That's a good question. I think a lot of people feel comfortable booking their own travel stateside, unless it's maybe a Hawaii or someplace where they just don't know what island's best for them. I would say probably 70 international, 30 domestic. And I sell a lot of airline tickets too, so that I'm not even counting that.
Very nice, very nice. So let's maybe just shift a little bit and kind of talk about what COVID has done to the travel industry and kind of what the outlook is right now.
Yeah, it's obviously been very detrimental to the travel industry. I feel so bad for these hotels and, just tour companies, cruise lines. I think it's still going to be a long road ahead of us. The cruise lines aren't operating, a couple of the smaller ones with 100 capacity. I think it's going to be a long road until we can get to a certain point where we don't have all these restrictions. Me saying that I do a lot of international travel, there's just a lot of places we can't go right now. So until those borders open up, in my instance, it's going to be a while for the full recovery.
And right now, we're recording this late March here, early April. What if somebody did want to travel internationally? Kind of what are their options right now?
Mexico is open. Costa Rica is open. There's a couple random places like Croatia. I just saw Serbia was open. Most of these places are required a negative COVID test to arrive, other than Mexico. But of then coming back to the United States, you have to have a negative COVID test also. So sometimes those restrictions, they take the fun out of it.
And I know now with kind of the rollout of the vaccine, I've talked to a lot of clients who are maybe a little bit more adventurous. Once they got the vaccine in their arm, they're ready to start doing that. If they wanted to start looking at, let's say, Hawaii or maybe somewhere in the States, what's your feeling there? Is what kind of deals are out there for people who may want to just stay domestic?
There are deals. There are some great airfares, especially fall, spring, summer. I notice the flights are filling up, and so the prices are going up. Hawaii, you do have to have a very specific COVID test to enter, so that puts a damper on it. It's kind of expensive. And Hawaii has some good deals. So it just kind of depends on availability and avoiding holidays and some of that kind of stuff.
So probably it's a good idea to give you a call and maybe have that conversation if you do want to maybe start looking in the fall to make some travel arrangements then.
Right. And the other thing we're doing is we're just automatically putting insurance on things. I spent a year battling for people's money, and going forward, it's just you just have to have insurance because we just don't know what's going to happen in the future. So that's a really important thing with travel also is insurance.
And another important reason maybe to have that conversation with the travel consultant like yourself.
Yes, for sure.
Wonderful, wonderful. So do you have any predictions of what changes we're going to see with travel here over the next, let's say 12 to 24 months?
Yes, I do know that the cruise lines, there's several cruise lines that are already making vaccinations mandatory. So I think moving forward, proof of vaccine is going to simplify travel for people for a couple of years. And the people that are choosing not to get vaccinated may have to be COVID tested, or they may just be restricted from traveling to certain destinations.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Yeah, I've heard a lot about, vaccine passports. Being able to show that you've had those that jab, to kind of give everyone a little bit more sense of safety and security there as people decide to travel more.
For sure. Even my husband is travels for work, and he got it just to simplify his company allowing him to travel.
Yeah, and I'm sure it probably gives you a little more sense of security there, knowing that you have a little bit more protection than the mask.
Yep.
So.
Yes, for sure.
So what's on your bucket list? Where are the places that you want to get back to once you can travel?
Yes, I definitely have a bucket list. I finally got my youngest daughter through college and thought this was going to be my time, and I was going to hit a couple of these places. My main one is Peru. I really want to see Machu Picchu. I have a really mad desire to go to the Galapagos. So those are just a couple that are on my list.
Very nice, very nice. So with COVID and all of those things, I think what the big takeaway I want my listeners to kind of take away from this conversation is, definitely consider talking to a travel consultant like Shana to really get a good understanding of what are the restrictions, what are the requirements, and really get a guide through getting back to traveling. I just know so many people that are just kind of chomping at the bit, and I can't think of a better way of starting to make those plans than having a conversation with someone like you.
Yeah, I often tell people they'll say, well, why should I use a travel agent? Well, me and my other agents have been agents for over 30 years, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. I guess we get to take some vacations in there, but we've been at it a long time. So I feel like even if we haven't been there, we have some input or thoughts or clients that have come back and given us their experiences. And I think there's a value in that.
Yeah. I mean, even in financial services, you can do a lot of this online yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the question, are you doing it right?
Right.
Are you costing yourself because it's, it seems like it's an easy thing to do. I'm sure you have a lot to say about that, about people who have maybe tried to make that decision to do it themselves online, and then have to come to you to fix it.
Yes. A lot. and I want to help them, because then next time they'll come back and use me. But I think you're right. People can do a lot of things online. I picked up my taxes this morning for my CPA. Same thing. She's worth every penny.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. Well, I just appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Will you give our listeners kind of some of your contact information and how best to kind of start that conversation about how to start making plans for travel as we come out of this year plus of COVID?
Yeah, for sure. So my phone number is 541-772-9744. I'm at 24 Crater Lake Avenue, number 4 in Medford. I have kind of modified hours right now because it hasn't been very busy, but I'm always available by appointment. So, I hope, I do think moving forward, things are going to get busier. And that is obviously my hope.
I think that's everybody's hope. I think
Right?
everybody is just ready for things to be back to what they were once upon a time.
How many times do we say normal? Can we get back to normal?
Yeah, or something resembling, December of 2019.
Exactly. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on here, Shana. And I'll turn it back over to Eric to take us out of here. But I just want to thank you for taking the time to join us and kind of sharing your thoughts on travel post-COVID.
Great. Thank you very much, Roel.
I've been trying to get my doctor to write me a prescription for a beach for a while. And, I have had no luck. So please don't call in and ask me how I did it, because it has not happened. But boy, I could use a beach. So I appreciate you being on the show. That's great. I definitely am going to be looking into some travel for the end of this year. We just need it. I think you guys both said it very, very well. It's just nice to get out again. And I think people want to get out and get away. So thank you so much for being on the show. And Royal, of course, thank you for bringing her on the show. She was a fantastic guest. And our last thank you goes to you, the listening audience. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Life by Design podcast with Royal Standley. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Royal comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends and family. Again, thank you so much for listening today. For everyone at Oregon Pacific Financial Advisors, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Life by Design podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The views expressed are those of the presenter and may not reflect the views of United Planners Financial Services. Material discussed is meant to provide general information and is not meant to be construed as specific investment, tax, or legal advice. Individual needs vary and require consideration of your unique objectives and financial situation. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. Advisory services offered through Oregon Pacific Financial Advisors, Inc. Securities offered through United Planners Financial Services of America, member FINRA and SIPC. Oregon Pacific Financial Advisors, Inc. and United Planners Financial Services are independent companies.